In today's story, we're going to tell you more about the life of Paul. At the start of today's story, Paul and his friend Silas have been thrown into prison for helping a slave girl to get better. Why would they be in prison for doing such a kind thing? Well, the girl's cruel master made her tell fortunes to earn money for him. When she got better, she didn't want to tell fortunes anymore. Her master was angry and had Paul and Silas thrown into prison. What will happen to Paul and Silas now? Will they get out of prison? Or will things get even worse for them? We're going to open the book and read the story of Prison Praise. What shall we do? Let's open the book.
Paul sneezed. His nose was itching, but he couldn't scratch it. Silas sneezed.
Achoo!
He peered at Paul through the gloom. It was dark, very dark. Paul and Silas were sitting on the floor of a prison. Their arms were chained to the wall. Their feet were chained to the floor. Their backs were sore where they had been beaten.
I don't know why we've ended up in prison. All you did was make that poor slave girl better.
But her owners can't make any money from her fortune-telling now. So they're very angry with me.
So we ended up in here, in this underground cell, in the dark, with no chance of getting out tonight.
Silas shivered. The chief jailer sneezed. He rubbed his nose. He rubbed his arms. The night air was chilly as he stood outside the prison.
Okay, I've counted the prisoners. I've checked the bolts on their chains. I've put the bars on the doors. And there's no way anyone is getting out this prison tonight. No chance.
He said good night to the other guards and went home, confident that he had carried out his orders. So Paul and Silas sat chained to the wall in the dark, unable to sleep. Their backs were sore. Their heads ached. They were hungry and thirsty. So what were they doing? Were they crying? No. Were they complaining? No. Were they shouting, "Let us out"? No. They were singing. Yes, singing. The other prisoners couldn't believe their ears. They could hear the singing, but who could be singing in a place like this? And what were they singing? Hymns? Someone was singing praises to God. In a prison? All the prisoners listened as the songs and prayers went on and on. Then they heard another noise, a low rumbling. At first it sounded as if it was far away. Then the rumbling got louder, and louder, and louder. Then the floor began to tremble, and the walls began to shake. Then dust and dirt began to fall from the ceiling. Then bits of stone and mortar began to tumble. Everything was moving and shaking and falling. It was an earthquake. The chains fell off the wall. The bolts fell apart. Their hands and feet were suddenly loose. Then the doors fell open so the prisoners could escape. The jailer ran towards the prison.
Oh, no, 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 the prisoners will escape. Oh, I'm going to get all the blame.
He reached the prison, puffing and panting, and saw that all the doors had fallen off their hinges.
Oh, the prisoners have run away. No.
He cried, fearing the worst. Then he took out his sword, and as he was just about to kill himself, Paul shouted,
Don't kill yourself. It's all right. We're all here.
The jailer was amazed and fell on his knees in front of Paul. He couldn't understand what had happened. He couldn't believe that all the prisoners were still there, inside the prison. They hadn't run away after all. He knew Paul and Silas were followers of Jesus. Did that have something to do with what was happening? Is that why they were singing in prison? Is that why they hadn't run away?
So what do I have to do to be saved? To really live, and how can I be like you? What do I have to do?
So Paul told him all about Jesus.
Put your trust in Jesus. Follow him, and he'll show you what to do.
The jailer was so excited that he took them both to his home so his family could hear about Jesus too.
Paul and Silas did two amazing things in today's story. First of all, they sang hymns of praise to God while they were chained up in prison. Secondly, they didn't escape when they had the chance. They didn't want the jailer to get into trouble. Let's close our eyes now and think about why Paul and Silas didn't run out of the prison. Let's close our eyes. They knew the jailer would be in trouble. He might even lose his life if the prisoners escaped. So they stayed where they were. Now I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer, say Amen at the end after me. Dear God, help us to behave in the right way so that we don't get other people into trouble. Amen.